and they're armed and ready. This task group has now entered the high threat area, and as you can see, they're preparing to run the gauntlet with the Houthi.
Picture this: the dead of night, a world on edge, and suddenly the sky over Yemen erupts. Rebel forces didn't just strike, they unleashed chaos, firing not one, but 2 ballistic missiles from the heart of their territory, aimed like daggers at Israeli military targets. Within seconds, air raid sirens screamed through Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, shattering the silence of dawn. These missiles weren't just weapons, they were lightning fast, thunderously loud, and packed with lethal intent. But this wasn't just an attack on Israel. This was a brazen challenge, a middle finger to a global superpower. Out in the open sea, a U.S. Navy carrier strike group stood ready, bristling with firepower and watching every move. When missiles fly in a war zone, especially ones backed by Iran, the United States doesn't blink. They strike back with a vengeance that echoes across the world. What happened next? How did this daring gambit nearly set the Middle East ablaze? Grab a seat. This is a pulse-pounding tale of high-tech warfare, geopolitical brinkmanship, and a world teetering on the edge of catastrophe. At 3:41 a.m. under a fading starlit sky, 2 ballistic missiles ripped through the darkness, launched from rebel-controlled northwest Yemen. Intelligence reports lit up. Their targets were Israeli military installations, possibly near Tel Aviv or the desert fringes of Beersheba. But these missiles never got their chance to kill. One was blasted out of the sky by Israel's state-of-the-art air defenses, reduced to a fireball of twisted metal. The second disintegrated over the southern West Bank, scattering jagged fragments across Hebron's hills. No lives were lost, but don't mistake this for luck. The timing was surgical. Just hours before, U.S. and Israeli intelligence had huddled in a high-stakes meeting, sounding alarms about Iran's growing shadow. Through its proxy networks, Tehran was funneling advanced missile arsenals to the Houthis, monsters like the Birkin 2H, a solid-fuel juggernaut with a 1,000 Mondurs km reach and a half-ton warhead built to sow chaos far beyond Yemen's borders. The Houthis have long claimed they're waging a defensive fight against Saudi and Israeli influence. But this was no defense. Targeting Israel was a seismic escalation, a move that screamed defiance, and it wasn't their first swing. Back in 2021. They lobbed similar missiles at Riyadh. In 2023, they set their sights on the UAE, but taking on Israel, that's stepping into the lion's den. Just 400 nautical miles away, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group prowled the Red Sea, a floating fortress of raw power. Destroyers like the USS Gravely and USS Laboon had eyes on the launches from the moment they ignited, tracking every arc and trajectory. They didn't fire, not yet. It wasn't their airspace, but make no mistake, the Houthis aren't some backwater militia anymore. They've attacked merchant ships, shelled Saudi oil fields, and even tested kamikaze drones against U.S. destroyers. Armed with long-range weapons and fueled by a do-or-die resolve, they've evolved into a regional wrecking ball. This attack, though it drew no blood, proved they can strike deeper, farther, and with terrifying precision, making them a threat like never before. So what happens when a rogue insurgent group hurls strategic missiles into a powder keg region patrolled by the planet's mightiest navy? Rewind to January, the Houthis unleashed a swarm of drones and anti-ship missiles at international naval forces in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The U.S. answered with a storm of Tomahawk missiles, leveling Houthi radar stations, launch pads, and weapons caches in a single night. Since then, U.S. ships have been locked in a near-constant state of combat readiness. April 13th was no exception, except for one critical detail: the target. Missiles aimed at Israel launched from Yemen weren't just an attack, they were a declaration of a new, more dangerous game. With a carrier group loaded with fighter jets, hundreds of precision-guided missiles, and over 5,000 battle-hardened sailors, anyone foolish enough to test the U.S. is signing their own death warrant. The Aegis combat system, the digital nerve center of the Navy's cutting-edge destroyers, scans the skies 24/7, crunching trajectory data faster than you can blink. Overhead, E-2D Hawkeye aircraft beam real-time intelligence to the Eisenhower's Combat Command Center, where crews orchestrate air patrols, tweak flight schedules, and direct F/A-18E Super Hornets, poised to strike at a moment's notice. This is a war machine that never sleeps. The burning question: would the U.S. hit back? After years of Houthi provocations, attacks on commercial ships, military targets, and Red Sea shipping lanes, standing down wasn't an option. And the U.S. didn't just respond, they roared. Within 48 hours, they launched a devastating coordinated assault on Houthi military infrastructure. The targets: suspected missile depots, command and control hubs, and air defense systems near Hodeidah. Local footage captured the aftermath: massive secondary explosions lighting up the night, likely from obliterated ammunition or fuel stockpiles. Tomahawk cruise missiles, fired from Red Sea destroyers, struck with surgical precision. These GPS-guided predators fly low, skimming the terrain to dodge radar, and when they hit, there's no escape. Simultaneously, U.S. naval electronic warfare teams likely scrambled Houthi radar and communication networks, leaving them blind and voiceless. For the next 72 hours, Houthi media channels went eerily silent. No propaganda videos, no fiery speeches, just the hum of defeat. This wasn't just a counterstrike. It was a global broadcast, aimed at the Houthis and their puppet masters in Tehran. Push us and we'll crush you, swiftly, strategically, and without mercy. Let's be crystal clear. This wasn't war. It was a masterstroke of controlled dominance. The U.S. didn't flatten Sana'a or unleash indiscriminate bombing. They hit precise military targets, enough to sting, but not enough to ignite a regional firestorm. That's the art of deterrence, in a world where one wrong move can spiral into chaos. But what's the real story here? Why would the Houthis, a group born in Yemen's brutal civil war, dare to provoke a naval superpower? The answer is bigger than Yemen. It's about Iran. Analysts see Tehran's fingerprints all over this, using the Houthis as a proxy to needle regional rivals and probe Western resolve. This is what makes the situation a ticking time bomb. When proxy forces wield advanced weaponry in a region crawling with military giants, a single misstep can snowball into a full-scale crisis. For now, the storm has calmed, but only just. The Houthis have halted their missile barrages. U.S. warships maintain their ironclad presence. Israel keeps fortifying its missile shields, yet the tension crackles like a live wire, a slow-burning fuse waiting for the next spark. Everyone knows this isn't the end. It's merely a chapter in a sprawling high-stakes saga. The next time missiles light up the sky, the consequences could be cataclysmic. In the shadowy world of proxy wars and asymmetric conflicts, the line between restraint and all-out war is as thin as a blade. Every move in this deadly game risks a fiercer retaliation, with fallout no one can predict. Meanwhile, the sailors aboard the USS Eisenhower and its escort ships stand watch, their fingers never far from the trigger. Their mission is unrelenting: to hold the line in a world where order hangs by a thread. In a region where peace is as fragile as a house of cards, their presence might be the only thing keeping flickers of conflict from roaring into an inferno. That's the story for today, folks. A heart-racing dive into a world of power, precision, and peril. If this tale of missiles, motives, and military might gripped you, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your support is the fuel that keeps us delivering jaw-dropping, high-octane content day after day. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Stay sharp, stay curious, and let's keep unraveling the stories that shape our world.